Hello everyone and welcome to Twitch Tales episode 78. Where did we leave off in episode 77? At the beginning of episode 77, Apis was being transported to the Merry Gentleman's abode with a companion, a newfound companion, Farangol, a wood elf ranger. Farangol was not yet a friend, an acquaintance per se, of Apis's, and seemingly had some beef with the Archfey that run the council of the Feywild here. After a couple of trials in the mountain pass, they'd made it through and into the forest on the other side, and Farangol had pointed out the gigantic tree that they were heading towards. But they also mentioned that there was some magic abjurations around the Merry Gentleman's house that would prevent them from getting there without a guide of some kind. Luckily, they met a dryad who said that she would happily take them to the Merry Gentleman's house if they could prove that they were actually invited guests. She can't be taking anyone willy-nilly. Apis showed that they had a wayfinder beetle that the Merry Gentleman had given them in order to find the abode, and also that they had a gift for them in the form of this wooden box, jewelry box. Farangol stated, I think you should probably open that if you don't know what's inside it. It could be anything, and if you give something to the Merry Gentleman and it's not opened, then you know he might be mad at you if it's something he doesn't like. So after some persuasion, you decided to salt by an iron circle, iron filing circle around this box, just as an extra layer of protection. Then you opened up the box, and you let out the contents, which happened to be a little embodiment of a sunflower, a little fairy that looked a little bit like a sunflower. And this fairy called herself Picnic, and said that she'd been trapped in this box for 57 cycles, which is the Feywild equivalent of 57 days. After some back and forth talking, you decided that you were going to trust this fairy. You let it out of the circle, and it stayed with you for the rest of the journey to the Merry Gentleman's abode. Upon arriving at the Merry Gentleman's house, you met his head servant, a faun called Dopnesh, and were introduced to some of his staff. You were allowed entry to his house, his manor, and you actually spoke with the Merry Gentleman himself. He, back and forth, lots of conversation. He told you all sorts of things that you'd asked him for. He was coy on other things and sus in certain ways, as fairies are wont to be. Meanwhile, Farangol had decided, I'm not gonna step onto this guy's property because technically he still owes me hospitality. He didn't go into the reasons why. He said he owes me hospitality, and I'm not willing to cash that chit in yet. It's a good bargaining tool to keep over him. So I'm gonna stay out here exploring the wilderness outside of his land. And you said, okay, sure. Having talked to the Merry Gentleman, though, you asked him a few things. You what are the important things to note in this part of the recap? There was just lots of conversation and exposition about certain things. If you want to know what, you'll have to watch the previous episode. Ultimately, you asked him, the Merry Gentleman, if they knew anything about what had happened to your family, and the Merry Gentleman says, I know some things, but if you want me to tell you more information, if you want me to look into it and give you all of the information that I can find, then I'll have to have some kind of a contract with you. I'll have to have some more formal agreement, you and I. And then you got a sending message in your head from Vala on the material plane saying, hey, your braces are ready, which is probably something unusual for you because you were expecting them to take a couple of weeks, and as far as you know, it's been a couple of days. This freaked out the Merry Gentleman because in his house you shouldn't be able to send or receive sending messages and telepathic sort of communication. He was very interested to know that your Horizon Walker abilities are seemingly messing with his abjuration magics as well, and so he rushed off to investigate that further, and left you on your own. Meanwhile, you were called by his assistant Dopnesh back outside to meet with somebody who is going to help train you. You met with a centaur, a glistening muscled, rippling pectoral, washboard ab centaur gentleman with bronze skin and Fabio hair, who is introduced to you as Rikash, and Rikash is a centaur trainer, a warrior of sorts, and he explained that he was here to train you. He also introduced the picnic back to Farangol and said, "Hey, apparently you guys need to hang out because by this point we had discovered that Picnic was once working for another one of the Archfey, one that goes by the name Jester, among other names. So for reasons, they paired off Farangol and Picnic, and they went off on their own little side quest. So I believe that's pretty much all of the pertinent information. And as the Centaur Rikash drew his weapon and got you to do the same, he rears back and then slashes down with an attack to try and see what you're capable of. We're going to start with initiative. Apis. Roll initiative, and we will see how we go with a fight against this rippling muscled centaur. That is a 4. A 4. Alright. That's funny. What are the dexterities? You actually go first, because he also got a 4, and you have a better dexterity than he does. So as he draws down on you, the sword comes up, and you can act first. What is it that you want to do, Apis? We need Nell to plunge her stinger deep into his rear end. It's been a while. Rikash knows we're mortal, right? Right? We'll find out. He didn't say glistening, Rob. Doesn't count until you say glistening. Glistening muscles. Alright, so because it's the first initiative, let's just do this as a hive mind. You just tell me what you want to do and we'll work something out. We have all of our spell slots. We have our sword, parry the blow, misty step behind him, longsword attack, agree with parrying it, dodging it, misty step shooting it, dodge, parry, push him back. Alright, let's put this as a poll. Do we want to parry the attack, dodge the attack, misty step away or behind him? Do we want to counter strike? Try and duck inside of his attack and get in there first, or do we want to do something else? All right, 56% of the vote decide we're going to do a counter strike on him. So we're going to strike out first with an attack and hope that our attack lands stronger than his does. All right, so what we're going to do is turn on the dice cam again, make the first attack with our blade. So that is a 10. A 10 plus, what's our modifier from attackings? Longsword is a +4 with a d8 +1. Alright, so counter strike. Because he's kicked off the initiative by striking out at you. You're going to duck in underneath that. You're going to use your lower stature to your advantage. He's a much taller guy. He's with his horse-like body. Not a horse. Don't call a centaur a horse. It's very offensive. With his horse-like body and his tall stature and his rippling, glistening muscles, he towers over you quite dramatically. His blade is coming down, telegraphed from above, and you are going to use your smaller stature to sort of tuck and roll almost into the attack, get within his arc of the arc of the swing, and with a 10 +4, that is a 14 to hit, and a 14 will hit. He is not heavily armored. It seems like he is he's not one to wear a bunch of heavy armor on his body. And as you strike out with your own blade, you you feel that tingling down your arms as usual, and you can imbue it into the blade of the sword, which disappears momentarily. You sink the blade into him as much as you can, and plane a warrior as well as a bonus action. So that is an extra d8. So that's 2d8 plus 1 from your strength. You're using 2 hands on this longsword, so it should be a d10, shouldn't it? So a d8 and a d10 for a 2-handed longsword attack. That is a 2 and a 3, so that is 5 plus 1, 6 points of damage. So with the first attack, you strike in and you cut him across the front, and your sword nicks against his obliques, his rippling, glistening oblique muscles. And you draw first blood. You have a second attack though, so you then dart past him and you make another attack with a 12 plus 4 is going to be enough to hit. This one does not get planar warrior, but you are still using 2 hands on it, so that is a 2. That is another 3 points of damage. Alright, so with a total of 9 points of damage from 2 attacks, you strike twice across. The second one doesn't cut him, but it does force him to sort of back up a little with his front hooves to avoid it, which expends some of his energy, some of his stamina, some of his hit points. Alright, he is seemingly not disturbed or perturbed, put off by the fact that you have used live weapons, as it were, sharpened blades for this training. Seems like he's familiar with using bladed weapons for training purposes, and he hasn't balked at it. He's certainly using bladed weapons himself, as he then moves around for his attack. He continues with that sword that he had out to attack you with, and he's going to make his attack on you. That is going to be a 16 on the dice plus stuff. That hits your 15 armor class, so that's going to hit. He's going to do where's my d10s? There it is. He's going to do, and what's his modifier? Oh yeah. So he's going to do 7 points of damage with that first strike, almost cutting into you and forcing you to dodge to the side. You bring up the blade just in time and it whacks against the blade, pushes you back a little. Then, with the blade coming down and bringing your blade up and blocking it, you've now left yourself open at the bottom, where he brings up his front hoof and kicks you square in the chest, or tries to. Same again, 16 plus stuff, that will hit. So with a hoof attack from the front, he's using all of his abilities, all of his natural features and natural weapons here. That is going to be 4, that's another 13 points of damage with his hooves. Alright. He kicks you in the chest. Then he is going to... Is he going to do it now? No, he's not going to do it yet. Alright, it's back to you then. What do you want to do as you've just been hoofed in the chest? What is your response, Apis? Backflip from the chest kick. Bring the sword forward, laugh, and then sin at them swinging? Come at them swinging, maybe. Misty step above him, attack from there. Part of me wants to misty step onto riding him. Quick thought to Ultimes, Hunter's Mark him. Hunter's Mark would give you extra damage on all of your attacks that land. It's an extra d6 damage on every attack that lands. It's a bonus action to do so, and then you have to concentrate on it. Alright, so put a thumbs up for Hunter's Mark, put a thumbs down for not Hunter's Mark. Costs you a first level spell slot, and you have to concentrate on it, but while you're concentrating on it, every attack from then on that lands does an extra d6 damage. Alright, looks like a very clear yes, you are going to use Hunter's Mark, so one of the berry slots disappears. We'll flavour it as, yes, indeed you do actually do like a, not so much a backflip because you got booted in the chest for a decent chunk of damage there, so it's not exactly as graceful as you'd like it to be. He brings down his sword and hits into yours. You block it, and then he kicks you in the chest. You go tumbling over backwards. You tumble over backwards, and as you land in the grass, you get back up again quickly to see him kind of taking a step back as if he's getting ready to charge at you. You bring up your hand and you pull up from the ground in the same way that you've done with your longbow many a time, and you see the Feywild green grass, and it is the most vibrant, saturated of greens. It is migraine-inducingly bright green, and this grass seems to mark him almost. Hunters mark him, and I will just roll you a check real quick. All right. That is a bonus action. You have hunted marked him correctly. You have your action. What are we doing? What are we doing with that action? We're making 2 attacks with our sword again. Moving in. Sword him. Yeah, sword him. All right. Double sword thrust. Bring your hand up, and then just as he's charging towards you, you get ready, almost pike style. And then lunge forwards just at the right moment to try and attack him. Try and get inside of his attack. That is a 3, however. You have a 3 on the dice there. I would say, do you want to use your inspiration or lucky horseshoe? But you haven't actually got either of them. The lucky horseshoe has not been returning yet because it returns on a dawn, and you haven't been experiencing dawn here in the Feywild. It seems, as you have been told, that in order to regenerate the things that recharge on a dawn in this plane that does not experience dawn, you might have to do some kind of ritual or praying to the god of the sun to say, like, hey, can you give me a temporary honorary dawn here so that I can recharge my stuff, please? You're not sure what that will entail, but if you can do some research, maybe you can work it out. So you don't have any rerolls, so a 3 plus your modifier is not enough to hit. So you lunge forwards with him, and he just he knocks the lunge aside with his blade as he comes in. You use that momentum being knocked aside to come round for his front legs as you sort of duck down low and try and hit the front hooves, as it were. Step past him, and 3 again. 3 again. It seems like he is ready for your attack. He knocks it aside. He sees that momentum coming around, and it telegraphs the entire sort of 360 where it's going to be. You use that momentum, spin it around, and he's ready for it on that side as well. Brings the hoof up and kicks you in the hand. It hurts a lot, and you almost drop your sword. And he goes immediately for a counter attack, bringing his sword down on your back. Luckily for you, he also misses with a 2. So it seems like you guys are blocking each other well. Your thrust gets knocked around. You try and bring it around, and he knocks that aside, opening up your back. He comes down for your back, but you quickly chuck the blade down behind your back and slam. You knock it aside and block his attack. But he has a second one. Brings his sword down on your back. You block it, so he is going to... he's going to do the same thing again and try and kick you. You're now facing away from him, holding the blade against your back. So he's going to kick you right in the back and try and knock you down onto your face. Try and knock you prone. 16. Apparently, this guy can only roll 16s or 2s. So 16 plus stuff will hit. He's going to give you a hoof attack. That is 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 points of damage to you from that second of the hoof attacks, and you are now looking bloodied. Oof, you get knocked. I'm going to just say, given the circumstances, I'm going to give you a strength saving throw to not be knocked onto your face. 8 plus your strength save is 1 plus, because you see it's white, it's all surrounded by white. That indicates that you are proficient in those saves, which means you get to add your plus 3 proficiency bonus. So strength saves is a 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. I'm going to say 12 is enough. You get kicked in the back and you stumble forwards a few feet, but you are not knocked prone. You are not in melee with him anymore because he's kicked you forwards. That was his attack, so he doesn't get another attack of opportunity for pushing you out of his range. But you are pushed forwards about 5 feet, but you stay on your feet. It is now back to you, Apis. You spin back around to look at him. He's now 5 feet away. What do you want to do? Misty step behind him, but to the side, not directly behind, not to get horse kicked. Surprise him, hit him in the rear. Surely we're super concentraty. Yeah, true. That concentration check for taking that 11 damage. Because you took damage while you were concentrating on a spell, you need to check concentration. What that means is you do a Constitution saving throw. You can see you've just got a +2 to your Constitution save, and the DC is half the damage you took, or 10, whichever is higher. Half the damage you took would only be 6 points, 6 on the DC, so the DC is 10. And because you have a +2, you need to roll an 8 or more to maintain concentration on Misty Step. You got a 10, you're fine. So you maintained concentration. Ooh, you got kicked in the back. You maintain concentration on Misty Step though as you spin back around. Thumbs up for Misty Step, thumbs down for anything else. I see a few people saying Misty Step, so what are we thinking? Don't forget the Displacer Cloak. Thank you, Sparrow. I will remember that. The first one would have still hit because of the damage. As soon as you take damage, the Displacer Cloak doesn't activate anymore, and so the first one would have had disadvantage and would have been 2 16s. I just rolled another 16. So the first round would have been fine. It would have come back on your turn. The second round already missed at the start, and then would have been a 16 or a 15 total. So that one just would have hit. So no difference yet, but yes, thank you for reminding me about the Displacer Cloak. As it is now your turn, you've been kicked in the back, and the Displacer Cloak shrinks back down to your form, but then immediately kicks back up again. And there's 2 of you. Alright, looks like the yeses have it. We are going to use our Misty Step. So, with a 2nd level spell slot, you focus in on the inherent natural magics of the Feywild, the lands where many a creature can Misty Step, because it's kind of more common here, more natural, more related to the abundant magics of the world in the Feywild. You tap into that, and very quickly you feel that misty transportation taking hold. Where are we going to? Are we going to his back? Are we going to just off of one of his back ends and attacking him from the rear? Are we Misty Stepping 30 feet away to give ourselves some distance between him and us? Ride him like a horse. Rear, range distance. Misty Step, but not on 12 o'clock, on 1:30 o'clock. Soothe him with some Pampax. Alright, seems like we've got some dissenting opinions, so let's put it to a poll. Misty Step to where? His back. Try and ride him, try and grapple him, whatever that takes. His rear end. Hee hee. Range distance. So like get away from him. Or I think that's pretty much the only options. So there you go. We want to go his back, we want to go his rear end, not like immediately behind him like horse kicking, but like somewhere behind him. Or range distance where you can shoot him with a bow. Alright, with 58% of the vote though, people decide we are going to Misty Step away from him. So he kicks you forwards, you turn around, and just as he takes a couple of steps back, he does a little flourish of the sword, takes a breather, and then boom, 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 starts charging forwards again. You wait for just the right moment, and then just as he's about to strike, you feel that misty energy in yourself. You go 30 feet behind, and as you reappear in the area, you spin around. You're 30 feet back now, and he's charged forwards. What are you doing at this point? I assume you're attacking him with a bow. Thumbs up if you want to drop your sword and get your bow out. Thumbs down if you want to do something else from here. Ready, dodge or something. Or ready an attack or something. Pin the tail and the donkey, planar area. No. You can't do planar warrior because you used your bonus to Misty Step. It's not entirely unanimous here, but there is some dissenting opinion in Apis's mind of whether or not it's honourable to use a bow during a sword fight. But it seems like we've got a lot of people saying yes, use a bow. So I am going to put it to a poll just in case in case we can get an obvious definitive answer here. You have used your bonus action to Misty Step, which means that you can't use your bonus action to switch weapons. So what that means is if you're going to use your bow, you're going to drop the sword in your current space in order to grab your bow out and use it. Drop sword and use bow. Yes or no. If we drop our sword, we're going to end up fighting with punches. I mean, you are an unarmed fighter, so you do have punches at your disposal that can do a stupid amount of damage because of the stupid unarmed fighting rules. If we don't switch to bow, why did we range? You've also still got your movement left, so you can now run the other direction as well and put even more distance between you and him. You went 30 feet this way, and then you can go another 20 feet, so you can be 25 feet from him. Alright, with 73% of the vote deciding no, we're not going to drop the sword and use the bow, what are we going to do instead then? The dodge? Give him disadvantage on his attack, just ready ourselves for when he turns around and comes to us. Are we going to use our movement to move another 25 feet back and just put some real distance between us and them? What is the plan? What are we doing? Some people want to throw the net. So you want to get a net out. You've got a net right below me in the inventory here. You've got a net. You've also got a magic rope that can entangle things. You're going to use the dodge. You're going to use the rope. You're going to use the net. What are you doing? Readying a trip attack. That could be interesting. Interesting terrain nearby. So you're fighting on the edge of a bit of a sloped hill that leads down to a babbling brook river sort of situation where the mansion of the Merry Gentleman is down at the bottom. You're fighting up the top of that near the tree line. So there's some trees around you, there's a bit of a hill, and otherwise it's just rolling grassland. Dodge does the same as our cloak does. That's a good point, Sparrow. Dodge would give him disadvantage on the attack, which he would have because of cloak of displacement anyway. I'd say if you used your whole action to just dodge, then I will give him double disadvantage on his attack. Alright, let's put it to a poll then, and we decide what to do. Dodge gives him double disadvantage on his attack. Ready a trip. So we get ready for when he comes in, and we're going to try and chuck our blade down into the ground right by his feet to knock him over or something. Or we chuck our leg out and try and trip him up as he runs past, something like that. So dodge, ready a trip. What was the other option? Net. Ready the net to try and catch him in a net. Ready the rope, a rope of entanglement, rope of do whatever you want, or ready an attack, just a straight up damaging attack. That's the options you've got. What to do starts now. Tripping a Centaur seems difficult because he's so much bigger than us. I'm not going to lie, tripping a Centaur is going to be very difficult. It will require a check of yours. It would be a contested check, yours versus his, and it's unlikely to succeed, but it is possible. If we trip him as a reaction, then our attacks can be at advantage. Very good point. So there's a high risk, high reward situation with tripping him. If he falls prone, if he charges with all of his movement and his action to get to you, and then you knock him prone, he falls on the ground, then it's your turn, and then you have your attacks at advantage because he's on the ground prone. But if you fail, then you've wasted a turn essentially. Scream joyfully, tauntingly, "Come at me!" Alright, with 59% of the vote deciding to ready the rope, we Misty Step behind him. Are we going to use any of our movement? Yes or no? We are 30 feet away from him at the moment. We have 25 feet of movement. We could move another 25 feet behind and make him run towards us, make him use more of his movement to come to us. Are we going to use our movement? Yes or no? Meanwhile, you misty step behind. Your hand goes down to your rope. You go back to a one-handed hold on the longsword. All right, say yes, yes, yes. Most of you saying yes, we're going to move away. So you back up, you use the 25 feet of movement, backing up, and as you're backing up, you're grabbing the rope out. You see him kind of skid to a halt, having just tried to charge down and then seen you misty step. He spins around and says, what was his voice? Deep and I think he had a sort of protruding jaw, didn't he? Big, solid, square jaw. I think he talked something like this from memory. He spins around and says, "I see you already know some of our ways. That will make things easier." And then boom, 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 it starts charging towards you again. You're backing up the whole time, grabbing the rope out. It's tangled on something and you can't grab it out. But then you remember it's a rope of commanding, and so you just like loose, and it unravels itself and it's loose in your hands. You've readied yourself with your action. He gets within 10 feet, and you throw the rope out towards him, the coil of rope holding onto the other end. And with your readied action, with your reaction, you are going to use the rope to try and tangle him, to try and wrap him up. Now, we haven't done it in a while, so I can't fully remember. Dexterity saving throw or become restrained. All right, dexterity saving throw, and it's an action to speak the command word, so it's your reaction to do it because you readied. You can release them using a bonus action, or they can make a strength or dexterity check to release themselves as an action, or they can attack the rope and cut the rope up instead. Alright, so dexterity saving throw from him, and his dexterity save is okay, it's not too bad. Not the that's exactly what he needed. Whew! He needed a 15. He got a 13 plus 2. So he just manages to avoid it. I'll say that it does give him room to pause. Like it reaches out, spins out towards him, and it starts wrapping around him. And you definitely see a momentary kind of fear in his eyes, like a confusion, like he's not seen this sort of thing before. You slightly impress him, yes, but he does manage to dart to the side. It manages to kind of wrap around his lower leg on one side, but then he just pulls it back with sheer strength, essentially. With his glistening muscles, he's got a lot of strength. Boom! He just pulls his leg, and it tears out of the still tightening rope before it manages to get a proper hold on him. Then he's going to take his attack at you. And unfortunately for you, you did just move his whole distance away, which means that he's now 5 feet shy of you, but unfortunately, being a centaur with a longsword, he can lunge forwards and reach you. So he's going to do that. He's going to hit you with his lunging attack. That is going to hit with a 15 plus stuff, and he is going to hit you for that much, plus he's got a feature called charge. If he moves at least 30 feet towards you and hits you with an attack on the same turn, you take an extra 3d6 piercing damage. So he lunges forwards towards you. Displace a cloak, thank you for the reminder. That's even more, that was a 19 plus stuff. So he is going to do 8 plus another 10 plus another 5, that's 18, plus 5 is 23, plus his 4 strength is 27. 27 points of damage with that attack. Taking you down to 4 hit points. That was his first attack. Lunges forwards, strikes against you, puts up a hoof towards your chest, and then boom, just kicks almost point blank. Like what you call it, like a 1-inch punch style. Puts his hoof right up and then bam, hits against you. Your displacer cloak has sunk back into itself. He says, "Interesting that you have some of our abilities." Boom, kicks you in the chest, and he is going to forego the damage. That's a 17 plus stuff to hit. He's going to forego the damage to make it a pushing attack. He's going to try and push you down onto the ground. So a contested check. You have a strength check, athletics check rather. That is, oh, you are proficient in athletics, so you get a +4 to that. So that's an 18 for you, and a where's his athletics? He's got a +6 onto that, so that is only a 13 for him. So he actually pushes you in the shoulder, boom, and it spins you, but it does not knock you over. And then just as you're shouting, "I yield! I yield! I yield!" he says, "No, now the lesson begins." And he is going to action surge. And he is going to take 2 more attacks. His first attack is a pushing attack. Again, he's going to try and push you to the ground. That is a nat 20 on his athletics check. And then you get to... I forgot to roll yours in the dice cam before. You get to roll against a nat 20. 14 plus your 4 strength saving throw. That's an 18. Unfortunately, 18 does not beat 26. So, boom! This time he pushes you down to the ground. I yield! I yield! No, the lesson begins. Boom! You're pushed to the ground. Your blade goes scattering to the side. And then he walks up with his last attack. And wham! He's going to punch down at you with his hooves, essentially. He's going to stamp on you. And that is a 6 with advantage because you're prone. 16 plus stuff will hit, and he has more than 4 hit points of... Yeah, that's 10 plus stuff. 10 plus 4, that's 14 points of damage. And Apis, you are knocked unconscious. I blame it on his glistening muscles. Yes. The last thing you see, as you are knocked to the ground, the wind knocked out of you, your sword knocked to the side, glistening muscles over the top of you, a single bead of sweat. You see it drip down his neck and across his collarbone, down between his rippling pectorals, and down his washboard abs. It seems to get lost in the ravines of his six-pack. And then as it seems to the bead of sweat drips into the fur that blends into his pelvis region of where his body blends into the equine nature of the centaur. Whack! The hoof hits you right across the chin and knocks you unconscious. So, thank you for joining me, everybody. What we got? 10:30. Probably another. It's gonna be awkward, isn't it? I guess we will continue with you. Play as Mel. Just play as Mel as the rest of the session. It is not very long before you come to with a smell of vanilla in your nose. What causes massive damage and lingering injuries. Massive damage is caused if you ever take a single attack that does more than half your hit points from a single source. The most you took was a 27 then, not 31 as your half your hit points would be. So if you ever take 31 or more currently until you level up and your hit points go up, if you ever take more than half your hit points, you're subjected to massive damage. Lingering injuries is if you ever get to 0 hit points and then fail a death saving throw by more than 4. If you ever roll a 6 or less on your death saving throw, essentially. However, he was deliberately doing non-lethal damage as his finishing damage at the end there, so you did not have to make death saving throws and you did not suffer any lingering injuries. You come to with the smell of vanilla in your nose, and your eyes flicker open, and you hear like a zut alors, and then a little flittering of something that takes off from somewhere around your face, your personage, and you kind of flinch at it, something being that close to your eyes. And as your eyes kind of blearily look open, you're still lying on your back in the grass, and a small pixie-looking creature has just taken off from you and landed on the shoulder of this centaur and is now whispering into its ear. He nods a couple of times and then says, "You fight well, but you have much to learn. You have been cure wounded by this fairy for, where is it? D8 plus 4, that is going to be 9 points of damage. You've been cure wounded for 9 points of damage. Was that really necessary? I already yielded. There are fights that you cannot yield from. You fight to the end, or you die. That was quite a good thrashing. Teach me your ways. That is my purpose here. Didn't expect my ass to get kicked that badly. To be fair, I did not expect you to put up quite as good a fight as you did. What now? Well, now we fight again. Like right now, I'm thrashed. He looks down at his body that's still bleeding across the obliques down on the left-hand side, and he says, "As am I." Second wind. We could second wind. We are a fighter. As we're lying here, do we second wind? I think that makes sense. All right, so not liking the prospect of having to fight immediately again. You breathe in. You think back to the dream, the vision that you were given of Flun and Shale's beautifully flat and still and calm pool. This healing pool of this Flun and Shale tree looking over this beautiful forest clearing. That moment of serenity gives you a moment of peace within yourself, and you regain 1d10 plus your fighter level, which is 1. Where's your 1d10s? Apis? That's your percentiles, but where are they? There they are. Alright. That is... it's in the tray, because you were using it as a two-handed longsword. 9. Nice. 9 plus your fighter level, which is 1, so you recover 10 hit points from your second wind. Which is not nothing. That's good. You second wind as you're lying on the ground. Then what? Cure wounds on yourself? Thumbs up for cure wounds, thumbs down for not. If you want us to last longer and learn more, we'll need to be more healed. You learn from your mistakes. We do not learn from going at every problem in the best possible manner. No point in burning spell slots if we won't even get him down. I mean, you might stay up long enough to get him down. Or at least whittle him down. He is still cut from his. It doesn't seem like he's put any effort into healing himself yet. We have potions too. You do. You have 2 healing potions in your inventory. Down here. Fighting with low energy is how you make mistakes. Learning to fight with low energy is how you avoid making mistakes. I will give you 10 seconds. And then he turns around and he starts to trot away. Good point then, I suppose. Well, let's do this then. Get up and try not to fall over immediately. Alright, what do we want to do? Hide, Zephyr Strike, Misty Step, Hunter's Mark, Cure Wounds. I think those are the main options. Let's put that to a poll. Cure Wounds, Misty Step, Zephyr Strike, Hunter's Mark, or Attack. We picked up the rope and sword. They are by your side. You can pick them up as a free object interact if you so choose. He said he'd give you 10 seconds, meaning like he's giving you a round or so to prepare. Don't think centaurs can climb trees, can they? Not to your knowledge. You don't know a hell of a lot about them. But you'd imagine just from the physics of their bodies, probably not. Ooh, okay. 43% wanting to cure wounds, 43% want to Zephyr Strike. Only 7% wanting to Misty Step, 5% for attacking, 2% for Hunting Mark. So we're going to lose all options other than Cure Wounds and Zephyr Strike, and we're going to go again. Alright, with 68% of the vote, we decided to Zephyr Strike him. As he is trotting away, we get to our feet. We are not looking in the best way for fighting this guy, but I mean, if he wants to go again immediately, this is seemingly a school of hard knocks. You bend down, you get your sword out. You bend down, you grab your rope. And then you think, I'm going to need to move like the wind if I'm going to beat this guy charging at me like he did with his hooves, the way it was. You point out your sword towards him. You think about his. You think about everything that it takes for you to cast this spell. Usually, to move faster, to feel the wind moving, and to embody that wind within yourself. The wind here in the Feywild is similar to the wind that you feel on the material plane. Only it comes with like sweet smells and sounds as well. The sounds of music and laughter and dancing and the aromas of like sweetness and sugar and candy floss and things, just in minor amounts. So you picture that wind, you feel it on your skin, you feel moving like the wind, and then you feel it starting from your core and working its way outwards as a bonus action. Zephyr Strike. Now what? What do you want to do? He's given you the first round of the initiative, essentially, by giving you the chance. As what you'll notice with your +2 insight check is that as he's trotting away from you, putting some distance between you and him, you cast Zephyr Strike on yourself. I believe it's a target of yourself, not a target of anybody else. But he does kind of just like half glance over his shoulder, as if he's recognised that a spell has been cast. Cure Wounds is an action, Zephyrs is a bonus. Unfortunately, you can't cast 2 spells in the same round unless one of them's a cantrip. Or unless you action surge. What is the surrounding terrain like? You are still on top of the hill, so off to your left, about 10 feet off to your left is when it starts to really slope downwards. Off to your right, about 20 or so feet off to your right is the tree line. There's a couple of trees over there, and he's walking along perpendicular to the top of the hill. Are there any rocks? Maybe. Let's have a look for rocks. Percentage chance, 30% chance. That's an 8. Yes, 008. So there are a few rocks around, large sizable ones for crouching behind, for half cover if you want to. Not like huge boulders that you could hide behind entirely, but there's a few rocks. We want to move somewhere you can't charge to. Yeah, that's smart. So you could definitely move behind some rocks, put some difficult terrain between you and him to break up his charging ability. Should we go straight in? Move on the attack. Use the Zephyr Strike that we've just cast to give ourselves advantage and extra damage. Surprising with the attack. Climbing on to get out of the reach of his hooves. Climb up onto the rocks. That could work. How close are those trees to each other? Pretty close. Pretty close. And as I've mentioned before, the terrain biomes in the Feywild seem to be closely close together, and there's like a much smaller delineation between swamp and forest and mountains and flatlands and hills and stuff. And so what would be hills, where the Merry Gentleman lives, the plains, goes into forest terrain, and almost immediately goes from hills to forest. The tree line is a pretty small delineation. Zigzag, don't do what you would expect. The only biome I'd like to move into is a forest, rock or tree, and use bow sounds good. Duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge. Go hard or go home, attack. Alright, so put a thumbs up in the chat if you want to make an attack. Put a thumbs down if you want to do anything else, like hiding, climbing, readying, anything else. He's given you the first initiative and started to walk away from you. He is still within your movement, especially with the extra movement that you get from Zephyr Strike. I'm going to have to look up Zephyr Strike, aren't I? Because I don't fully remember what it does. Let me look it up. I think it's in the chat, isn't it? Is it a command in the chat? Using Zephyr Strike, Apis can move like the wind, and until the spell ends, their movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Once before the spell ends, they can give themselves advantage on an attack. That attack deals extra force damage, and whether they hit or miss, their walking speed increases by 30 until the end of that turn. Alright, so I assume that you're going to use it on this first attack, give yourself the advantage, give yourself the extra movement, and then disengage and run with the rest of your disengagey things. That was what everybody was saying attack with, so I assume that that's going to be the case with Zephyr Strike. You cast it, so might as well use it. You cast the Zephyr Strike, you see him walking away, you know that you are pretty screwed up, and the best defense is sometimes a good offense. You see him walking away, you know that he's going to fight with you, so you start moving, and you feel the wind slow right down as your body speeds up. your feet start to move faster than you would expect, but your body is keeping up with them. Your blood is pumping, the adrenaline is moving. You bring your hand up for a slice. You bring down on his rear end as you've closed the distance between him and you in no time at all. It was only about 30 feet away, so you managed to get right up on him with an advantage strike. I should have rolled that in the dice tray, so I'll put in what the dice were. It was a 19 and a 5. Doesn't want to focus. Hello. It's a 19 and a 5. So with a 19, it seems like as you get to him, the back leg comes up to go and kick you because he was readying himself for that. He was like trying to coax you into attacking him from behind. This seems like it might have been another lesson from his perspective. Like, I'll give you some time, look, and then he walks away and he's like coaxing you, come and hit me, come and hit me. But he's trying to teach you how dangerous it is to try and take opportunities like that. So he does make an attack of opportunity, a reactionary attack on you as you attack him, but you are definitely going to strike with yours. 13 plus stuff, he is going to hit you. Yeah, 13 plus 4, that's going to be, is it plus 4? Let's see. I think it's more than that. Hooves. Plus 6 to hit, so 13 plus 6 is enough. He strikes you. Oh yeah, displace the cloak, thank you. Oh, that's good, because that changes it to a 14. 14 is just a miss. So he strikes out to you with his hooves, trying to sort of teach you a lesson of like, don't get lulled into a false sense of security here. Don't think you can attack Don't think you can attack somebody that looks like they're not paying attention. They might actually be paying more attention than you think. But his lesson does not go through because your displacer cloak means that he goes for the wrong image of you, and the hoof comes swinging past you, opening his back end up to the attack from you. 19 plus stuff definitely hits, and you are going to get Zephyr Strike damage on this as well. Zephyr Strike is how much? An extra D8 was it? An extra D8 force damage. So two-handed longsword is a D10, and then D8 from the Zephyr. And then plus 1 from strength. Why is this shifting itself? Oh dear, Apis. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, we are in trouble. A D10 plus D8 plus 1, and you get 3. This is but a scratch. We stroke his backside. Oh lord. Okay, well, unfortunately that's somehow the way that the cookie crumbles. That's somehow the way the dice go. So you do 3 points of damage to him with your surprise attack. We gently slap him on the bum. You strike down, but his strike out, it looks like 7s to me. I assure you they're not. Those are 7s. You can see that 7 on that side. This is the 1. This is the one that's facing up. That would be the 7. That's a 1. And likewise, this is a 1, and that's the 7. I blame Wraith for the butt pats. Yeah, Wraith's probably controlling Apis in this moment. That's probably what it is. Strike you. He strikes out at you, and then you go to strike at him, but his attack at you was unexpected on your part, so while it didn't hit you, it still kind of threw you off. It like dropped your weight away and out of your what do they call it? Out of your center of balance. Your weight was suddenly off kilter, and and therefore you weren't able to put a lot of weight behind the attack. You strike him, and it does cut, but superficially across his back end. That is your first attack, and you've used your attack from Zephyr Strike, which means you get your extra movement and all the rest of it. So you've still got 25 feet of movement left, and another attack. So your second attack comes in to strike him as well. 16 plus stuff will hit. That's better. And with a two-handed... Hey, much better. We're coming back around. Alright, 10 plus 1. So 11 points of damage from the second strike. 11 points of damage from the second... Oh, so I'm going to take it off of you then. Oops. He is not looking wounded yet, but you strike him the second time, and you cut him across the back of his Are they still triceps on the front legs of an animal? What would be the triceps of the front legs of the centaur? You cut him across there, and his leg kind of buckles to the side a second. Fetlocks, is that what they are? His front leg buckles down under the injury, but then he quickly overcomes that, puts his other leg down in front, and pulls his leg up. And you can see that he's now holding that front leg up a little bit because you've cut him pretty badly across the back of his front leg there. All right. That was your 2 attacks. You've done your bonus actions. You've just got movement. You've got 25 feet of movement left, and if you move out of his range, he does not get an attack of opportunity. What do you want to do? You can get to the tree line within 25 feet if you want to. You're going to try action surge. All right, so Jay, you think back in this moment to being on the to being in front of him trying to push you, and then just as you tried to react, he seemed to move bam, 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 much faster than you did. To a spurt of energy, he seemed to get more attacks than he should have in that moment. He moved with great aplomb, great vigor, great speed, and he was able to knock you to your back, knock your weapons out of your hand, and then knock you unconscious, all in the same time that you should have been able to do something in return. So in this moment, as you are moving like the wind yourself with Zephyr Strike, you try and tap down into that. What was that? How did he move that fast? I'm going to have you roll a percentage check and see if you can tap into that same ability that he had to action surge. Percentage check is going to be... Ooh, that is... a 10 on that dice, and that was cocked with a 2, a 20. 70. Alright, so that is a 70. Some people would say that's an 80, but I use that as a 70. You try and move that fast, but you just can't think how one would do it. Your muscles don't seem to react. Maybe it's because you're tired and you've just been beat up and all the rest of it, but you can't seem to tap into the action surge yet. But you still have movement. So you start to move away from him. Are you going towards the trees? Are you going down the hill? A horse charging down a hill towards you might be more difficult for him, and it definitely would give you an advantage on trying to trip him, because if he's coming down a hill and he's got all of the horse's weight behind him, he could trip. So going down the hill is useful. If you go to the tree line, you might be able to break line to the trees. You could also just run like straight out ahead of him in the plains, but zigzag, giving yourself an advantage of some kind of him not hitting you, I guess. What is it people want to do? Run to the trees. Most people saying the trees. So you strike out at him once, you barely hit him. You strike out at him again and hit him pretty hard across his leg, giving him an injury. And then you move around him with the same motion, and then you use the movement of the wind to dart out of his range and towards the trees. It is then his turn. He is going to continue that movement. He's going to start galloping after you, see if he can get you before you get to the trees. He's still got 3 working legs, so he's still galloping after you. Is he going to be able to get to you? I'm going to roll a percentage check for him to see if he can overcome this leg injury and manage to get to you before you get to the trees, as it were. He does not. That just as well. I give it a 25% chance. I rolled a 26. So he almost gets to you. That means that he's 1% too shy to get to you in time. You manage to get to the tree and you zip around the back of a tree just as his sword comes out to strike at you. So he can still make the attack as normal, but he won't get his charge ability. He won't get his extra 3d6 if he hits. Alright, his attack is going to be an 18 plus stuff. That is definitely going to hit, but it's only going to do the longsword thing, not the extra damage. And he got a 1. It's not only you, it's him as well. Disadvantage because of your cloak, thank you. 16 plus stuff will still hit. 1 plus 4, 5 points of damage. So he strikes out at you with the first one. The sword comes in and it's about to cause real nasty damage to you, but it slams into your shoulder just at the same time as it slams into the tree. So it still cuts and hurts. But it does not do as much damage as it could have with his minimum damage there. Constitution save, thank you, Tree of Dave. You need to concentrate on Zephyr Strike. Let's see if you manage to. 19 plus stuff, definitely enough to concentrate. You maintain concentration on Zephyr Strike. You moved away from melee? Yeah, and then he moved towards you. He's got movement as well. You moved 25 feet away and he can catch up. He's got 50 movement speed. He then has a second attack, so his first sword comes in, it hits into the tree. He says, "You need to fight faster." And then pulls the sword out of the tree. He's going to whip around the other side of the tree and try and hit you on the other side of it instead. That is going to give you... I'm going to say the tree gives you half cover as well at this point. So you've got 17 armor class temporarily while he's on the wrong side of the tree from you. Nat 20. Nat 20 gets through an AC of 17. So with his Nat 20, he could roll poorly on this. Although, he can't roll less than 15. 15's the middle. The minimum of what he can do here. So that's going to be 15 plus 4. That's 19 points of damage. Fight faster! And he strikes down around. You were in that same momentum. You were running around the tree. He went after you and hit you on this side. He sort of pushed you and you kept going with your momentum outside the other side of the tree. So he brought it around, hits you in the stomach, and just at the last second he flicks to the flat of the blade and just whack right in the solar plexus and knocks the wind right out of you. And you fall forwards onto the ground, unconscious. And the last thing you see is a flick of sweat from his glistening muscles down his bulging biceps, flicking that blade out at you. His muscly and the veins popping in his forearm from all of the incredible muscles that he's got. Handling that blade, it flicks out some sweat. and flicks across your chest just as the blade hits you in the flat of the blade hits you in the stomach and you fall unconscious. It's not long before the smell of vanilla hits your nose and you feel grass pressing into your face down in the dirt, and there is a fluttering of a pixie that takes off and lands somewhere in the trees nearby. This time they've cast it at second level because you failed the first one and he thinks you need a bit of a handicap. So that's going to be 11 plus 4 is 15 points of healing from this time. And then you feel the tip of the point of his longsword just poking you in the shoulder. And he says, "You see how fast I can move. You see how fast I can fight. You need to learn to fight faster when you need to. Fight better next time." You roll over. You look up at him. "I need 2 more legs." "No. The legs have nothing to do with it. You think Lord Ordval would lose to me in a fight? How many legs does he have?" "He has as many legs as he wants. He shapeshifts." "Exactly, and yet he chooses to. Do you think the speed with which you can attack has anything to do with the speed with which you can run?" "You're better with a bow, yes? Maybe you're faster with one too." He holds his sword out, and he says in Sylvan, he's been speaking in Sylvan the whole time, so that's kind of moot, but he says, "Bow!" And then out from the tree line, completely hidden to you until this point, comes a satyr with some panpipes on his hip, a little goatee, fawn legs, and trots out towards him, running out with a bow. And he hands out a bow, takes the sword like the squires at a jousting competition, swaps him out, holds up a quiver for him as well. He quickly slides the quiver over his shoulder and says, Your sword work needs training, but show me your skills with a bow." And then he turns around and starts to trot away. What do you want to do? The little satyr guy looks at you, smiles, and then turns around and shoots off into the forest again. Like the minions at a tennis match fetching the ball. Exactly like that, yes. Alright, so you change your weapons, you sheath your sword, you get your bow off your shoulder, you check it out that it's not screwed up. You haven't actually had a reason to use the bow yet, so you just take a second to, between the legs, push it back, string it up. Seems to be working. Draw an arrow, knock it, and Planar Warrior, Hunter's Mark, Zephyr Strike. What do we want to do? Try to action surge. Ready a bow, and then cold shot to the quiver to try and destroy his quiver. Interesting. Pass without a trace, stuck into the trees. Aim for an object near him rather than him, shooting with arrows. Alright, let's do a poll here. Hunter's Mark, Zephyr Strike, or Misty Step. Alright, 55% of the vote saying to Planar Warrior as a bonus action. So as you knock the arrow, you feel the tingles coming down your body, some of which is from the adrenaline of having been knocked out and woken up twice now. Planar Warrior, you draw back the arrow. Obviously there's no point Planar Warrioring without also attacking, so the only other question is, what are you attacking? Are you attacking a cold shot to somewhere on him or around him? Or are you just going to attack him and try and whittle him down? Where to attack? His quiver, him, or some small target. So try and impress him by hitting something small around him. So how cold shots work in my games is if you want to hit a particular target of a thing, if you want to say, I'm going to go for his eyeball and try and blind him, I'm going to go for his head and try and stun him, I'm going to shoot him in the foot so he can't move as much. You're aiming for a smaller part of him and a specific part of him, a thing that's moving. So if you're aiming for a particular part, then the DC of hitting, aka the AC, is going to go up. So it's going to be whatever his armor class is, plus some respective modifier that I feel is appropriate for the thing that you're trying to hit. And then if you miss completely. You don't do any damage. You don't hit at all. But if you do hit, then you do the damage, but you also get the bonus of what you're doing. So you would do the damage of the quiver in this example, and he would then lose all of his arrows, for instance. All right, 55% of the vote deciding to call shot his quiver. With a Planar Warrior, the arrowhead starts to disappear into the ethereal plane, and then you take aim and loose. And as the arrow flies, you are going to make the attack. The cold shot will make this an AC of... unfortunately, that's probably going to miss with a, let's see, 9 on the dice. What is the dice? There you go. 9 on the dice, and then that becomes a, what is it? A longbow plus 8. So you've got a 17. Actually, that might just hit. Yes, it does. It just hits. So I gave him a plus 5 to his armor class because of the cold shot being specifically for his quiver, and he has an armor class of 12 usually. So 17. 17 just hits, which means it does the damage of the bow, which is a D8, and then another damage of the planar, which is another D8, and it's all force damage, and then you plus 3 from the dex. So this plus 3, and it's all force damage. That's a 2 and a 2, better than a 1 and a 1, right? So that's a 4 plus 3 is 7 points of force damage to his quiver. I'm going to open up my DM screen here, which has object, armor class, and hit points, and I'm going to work out whether 7 points of damage is enough to destroy his quiver or not. The object's substance is made of... It's like a leather quiver, essentially, but it's like hardened leather, so I'm going to put it at about the same AC of that, so it's enough to hit. Object size, it is probably tiny or small, and then resilient, so 8 hit points-ish, 3d4. it'll have about 3d4 hit points. So I'm going to roll 3d4 and see if it's got 7 or fewer hit points. You've done 7 points of damage to his quiver. Let's have a look if it's enough. Let's do this on the dice cam just for lols. How many hit points does his quiver have? That is a 1, a 3, and a 3. Do you know what 1, 3, 3 in makes? That's 7. He has 7 hit points for his quiver, and you did 7 points of force damage. So, taking aim, he's like, show me what you got with a bow instead. You shoot, and as he's trotting away, it cuts through the top of the strap that's holding it on and knocks into the side of the quiver as well. It cuts into both sides of the top of the quiver, actually pinching it closed, and then it knocks the quiver off of his hip and down to the ground as well. So even if he picks it up, it's going to have a hard time getting the arrows out of it because you've pinched it closed with your very precise strike there. A very neat shot indeed. That is your first attack with your planar warrior. You've got a second attack. Shoot again, but at him this time, and then try action surge to shoot again, and then get cover. Alright, let's do that. So, victory laugh. You laugh out loud, and he reacts. He sees this thing happen, and he reacts, and you see him smile. He is impressed already. And then you shoot at him again. 14 plus stuff will hit, and let's aim at the tray. Nice, 8 plus 3, that's 11 points of damage to him. 11 points of damage takes him to... he is now looking wounded. Yes, he's now looking wounded. As you strike out, he's impressed, and then the second arrow comes flying across, and he barely manages to dodge it. And you see him like, whoa, he's had to expend quite a bit of energy getting out of the way of that shot. Like, he is ready for it. He spins himself around and gets his bow out. He's got the one arrow that he had in his hand when he first drew and knocked his arrow and started walking away. So he's only got one arrow to strike back at you. You see him putting the arrow into the bow and sort of bringing it back to take aim at you. You think, fight faster, and you are going to try and action surge. We get curb stomped when he's impressed. It's that worrying. Alright, let's see. I'm going to try an action surge, see if we can do it. That is a 60, which is better than a 70, but still not enough. You think... It's just like, how do I fire faster than I'm already firing? You're thinking back to the moments you were told by Sam about how to quick draw when she taught you your extra attack feature at level 5. But you're already going super fast with your double drawing at the same time. You're just not able to do it before his arrow is knocked and fired back at you. He's going to shoot back at you with his bow and arrow. That is definitely going to hit with a 14 plus stuff. And then his arrow is going to be a... Where is it? I need one of these. Oh, nice. He barely nicks you with a 1 plus 2. So 3 points of damage to you. Barely nicks you. It cuts through... cloak, thank you. Displace a cloak. Oh, it might actually miss. No, 15 just. Wait, no. What's he got? Oh, he's got plus 6, not plus 7. That does miss, 14. He, with the second one, with the cloak, he fires back at you with his one arrow. It fires out. It strikes through the shoulder of the illusion of yours, and it misses you just. He is then going to sort of move away, and you're going to move back towards the cover as well with your previous turn's movement. Alright, it's back to... Oh, he gets multi-attack, doesn't he? He's got multi-attack, but he doesn't have another arrow, so what's he going to do? He is going to pick up the quiver, and he's going to use his second action as like a grapple action, essentially, to wrestle with this quiver and try and try and pull your arrow out of it. Your arrow's solidly like all the way through the top of it, and it's hardened leather, so it's pretty hard for him to do so. This is a pretty high armor class. Thank you. Yes, you are back to 15. All right, he is going to pretty high difficulty here to try and athletics this out with his second attack. That is not going to do it. What's his athletics? 17. No, that's not quite enough. He's tugging at the arrow that you've shot through his quiver, and it's not getting there. So he's just going to stand here and wait for you to attack him. All right, it is now your turn. Shoot at him. Action surge again. Try and get his bow with planar arrow. Ooh, Hunter's Mark now. Interesting. What do we want to do now? Hunter's Mark, planar warrior, Zephyr Strike. Shoot the quiver again. Let's put this to a poll. What are we going to do? Planar warrior again for extra damage on the hit. Hunter's Mark again for extra damage on the hit. Zephyr Strike for extra damage on the hit. There's a lot of things that we do that's basically the same. Misty Step for some reason, just because somebody might want to do it. Or what else we got? Hide. So we give ourselves advantage on the attack, I guess. What's the thing we're doing? This is with our bonus action, our preparatory thing before we do the attack. What are we doing? Obviously we're going to try an action surge again. We're going to try and fight faster as he's trying to teach us. Planar at least doesn't cost a spell slot. Yeah, but it only does 1d8 on the first attack that hits, whereas Hunter's Mark is a d6 on every attack that hits while you're concentrating. Hunter's Mark's better to get the job done, better than rolling a 4. Alright, 54% of people agree with you. Hunter's Mark is better. We are going to cast Hunter's Mark. As he shoots past you and misses, and you see him wrestling with the quiver, you realise now's my advantage here. I've got a quiver full of arrows, and he does not. Let's finish him off. Hold out your bow. Up you go again. All of the green grass, blue skies. It's actually not blue skies, is it? It's purple skies, but that doesn't fit with the song. Wraps around him, Hunter's Marks him, and then with your action, make an attack. You've got 2 attacks. What are we shooting? The quiver again, as he's wrestling with it. Shooting his bow, or shooting him. Which is it gonna be? We could try to get the Ultima's crossed arrows on the quiver. Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be very fitting, wouldn't it? Get the Ultima's symbol. For those who don't know, who weren't here for the earlier arcs, perhaps, Ultima's is the god of hunting in this world. The god that Apis isn't really a religious follower of any particular gods, but the gods are real, and so people do pay respect to them. It's not like a choice of believing in them or not, really. And so everybody kind of worships some of the gods some of the time. Apis, more often than not, will pray to Ultimes, the god of the hunt, because Apis is a hunter. And Ultimes' symbol is, one of their symbols is crossed arrows. So do we shoot the quiver, try and push another one through and cross the arrows like an homage or a little nod to Ultimes? Ooh, 49% of the vote. We don't have a consensus here, so we're going to drop the bow. Only got 6% of the vote, and we're going to go again with quiver or him. There's an arrow in him. Has he got an arrow in him? I think we've hit him with an arrow. We've done damage to him, but again, damage is not just cutting. It's like stamina and luck and things. So I think it nicked him, and he dodged out of the way of it. It wasn't like a direct hit to his chest or anything. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be fighting, most likely. Do you have 2 attacks? No reason we can't try for both. Yep, but one of them might miss, so we've got to know which one we're doing first. If we shoot the quiver and we successfully hit it first, I'm imagining the second arrow goes to him. But if we shoot him first and we whittle him down, then we might want to shoot him a second time as well. The quiver probably has a lower AC now. He's holding it in front of him. Yeah, it's still a cold shot, but he is no longer moving, yeah. With 56% of the vote, we are going for the cold shot. We are going for quiver again. It still has a higher armor class. but as Cake Ladder suggests rightly, he's no longer moving away. It's not like it's not jogging up and down on his hip. He's holding it in front of him and trying to pull the arrow out of it. So he's holding it relatively still for you. Still a higher armor class than just aiming at his person, though. So we'll see. We will see. Here we go. A 4. Unfortunately, a 4 will not do it. He sees it coming and he moves it to the side and the arrow comes flying past. And then he smirks and says, "It is very fair of you to try and give yourself an advantage like that." Before he's even done talking, you fire a second shot. And let's see if you can hit him. 3, even worse. He sees what you're doing, though, unfortunately. It's very Fae of you, and if one thing he understands, it's how Fae fight, because he's fought with a lot of Fae. So the arrows fire off, and he manages to just he buckles his knees like a horse bending down to allow the rider to get on him. He buckles the front legs. He drops his body down below the arrow, and then he's going to stand back up again and start rushing towards you. He realizes he can't do the ranged, so he's going to try and close the distance on you. As he's closing in, you're going to try and action surge. Let's see if you can fight faster. Let's see if you can take the advice that he's given you, the very unhelpful advice of fight faster. And let's see if you can make it work. See if you can work out how to do so. That is a 16. As he's closing the distance, you draw another bow out, another arrow out. Ultimas, help us, please. And things seem to slow down for a second. There's this surge of adrenaline within your body. It is not Ultimas that answers your call. You get the sense that there is a green dragon-like hand, a dragonborn's claw hand, seems to grab you by the back of your hand and direct you down to your quiver. Draw an arrow, and then knock it to the bow itself. It's almost like the scene from Ghost with the pottery. These green draconic hands are coming from behind you and grabbing your hand and forcing you into fighting. And then as you draw back, you action surge and fire twice more. The first one is an 11 plus stuff, which will hit him. And then the second one is a nat 1. A nat 1, however, because the first one is a hit, as he's charging towards you, the arrow strikes through the quiver, and it crosses over Ultima's style, which is super cool and very much in line with Apis. So you gained yourself an inspiration for the targeting of the what you were aiming for. So would you like to now immediately use that inspiration to re-roll that second attack? You got a cool arrow cross. You did. You definitely, and you've definitively taken the quiver out of the fight. He's not going to be able to use this quiver at all for the rest of this fight. Sure, why the hell not? All right, so with an inspiration used, let's see if you can hit this second arrow on him. Oopsie daisy, bounced out of the tray. That is a 4. This guy does not want to get hit, unfortunately. Would have been a good story moment to hit, but unfortunately the dice say no, it's not happening. However, we still hit the first one, and it hit him in the quiver. I'm going to still cause the damage through to him because it hit him as he's charging forwards. I'm going to be kind and give you the damage on him and the quiver there, which is your this one and then your hunter's mark. Oh shit, you're right actually, Wraith. He was no longer aiming for the quivers. That actually will hit. So you are correct. That second one will hit. That is 7 plus 3. That is 10 points of damage from that first one that hit his quiver. And then you are correct. You actually did get it. I forgot that you, with such a high modifier, a 4 can actually still hit. Damn! Such is the bonus of having such a huge modifier to hit as an archer, even at level 6. You just managed to hit him with that second one. As he strikes forwards, it cuts through into the quiver. It comes out the other side, just crossing over like Altamez's crossed arrows. It strikes. The tip of it comes out the other side of the arrow and hits him pretty deep into his forearm. He winces in pain, and it kind of causes him to stumble a little bit. He's still running on only 3 legs. So he stumbles a little bit, and you use that opportunity to use the second of your action surge, which just hits him. He almost dodges it, but it cuts across his traps. And let's see if you can hit him for damage. You've got Hunter's Mark on this as well. How much damage can you do to him? You're probably not likely to knock him out with this, but you might make him yield. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 onto there. Doesn't make him yield. He's not yet at that stage, but it's pretty close. He's pretty bloodied by the looks of it. Wraith can rub ointment on it later. So we have Panros guiding our speed and Altamez guiding our aim. Are we here to make the gods work together or with each other? Maybe. Maybe. Alright, that is your turn, and you realise you've action surged, and as he realises that too, he comes to a grinding stop in front of you, and he smiles and says, "That's more like it. It will take things out of you until you've practiced with this some time. It can get tiring, but you need to learn how to recover that quickly." He is going to second wind to show you what recovering that quickly looks like. It does not seem to do much to him though, unfortunately, with his terrible roll there. But as he brings his hand away, there's like this fairy magic, these glittery kind of sparkles left behind that heal up the nicked trap from the arrow just before. Training's supposed to be tiring, otherwise you're not making progress. Indeed. Ba-bam! He's going to bring up his hooves and try and knock you out. That is a 14 plus stuff, or with the Displacer Cloak, which I definitely remembered this time, 19 plus stuff. So the Displacer Cloak has helped many times, but not every time, by far, unfortunately. So he brings up his horse hooves. That is a 1 and a 5 is 6 plus 4, I believe, is, 4 is 10. 10 points of damage. He does not knock you out. And then he is going to use his other attack to let's see, let me put myself in his shoes. He's trying to teach you a lesson about moving fast and acting, being able to recover stuff. He is going to use his first one to hoof you in the chest. And then his second one is going to come down. He's going to sort of grab you by the shoulder and just elbow you in the face because he's unarmed now. He's well, he could hit you with his bow, but what's the point in that? He could just hit you with his elbow instead. One hoof still injured. One hoof is still injured. Yes. So you know what? I'll take off one of those dice instead of 2d6. I'll do it 1d6 because he's only hitting you with one hoof. So you get 1 hit point back. He hits you, bonus action. His second action is to punch you unarmed. That was a nat 20. Thankfully for you, he does not have the Tavern Brawler feat or anything, so he's only doing 1 point of damage plus his strength modifier of 4, and then you double the 1, so he's doing 6 points of damage to you with a crit from an unarmed strike. He grabs you by the shoulder, elbows you in the face. And your jaw is possibly dislocated. It is now your turn. What do you want to do? You are in melee range with him. You still... your concentration checks on Hunter's Mark to see if you still have it. The first one was... how much damage? It was 5 or so damage, so DC 10. Oh, you're going to fail. So that was a 6 on your concentration. So you, with that first attack, as he struck you, you dropped the concentration on Misty Step. Are we wearing our ring? We can punch him back. Yes, you are wearing your ring, and you can use your unarmed fighting ability of being a fighter. If you drop your bow, you get unarmed striking damage. You can punch him twice. In fact, you can punch him 3 times, because you can punch him twice as your action, unarmed strike. And then because those count as light weapons in my games, you can make a bonus action unarmed strike as well. So if you want to, bam, 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 3 attacks. That's not a punch. This is a punch. Planar uppercut. Planar is injured leg even. Ooh, I learnt this from Panros himself. I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, get cocky a bit and like show him this guy's training you, and you're like, I've trained with worse. All right, so Planar Warrior, you drop your bow. He hits you in the face. You're almost down. You're almost unconscious. You look back at him and you say, "Ah, that was good. Ah, reminds me of when I was fighting Panros himself." And as you say this, your hand disappears into the ethereal plane, and then wham! You try and uppercut him right into the face. Let's see how this works. Planar Hadouken! That is a 12 plus stuff. That will hit. And because of Planar Warrior, you are going to do... how does unarmed strike work with fighting style? It's a D8, isn't it? Let me go to the battle map here. Boop. Battle map is unarmed strike is a D6 or a D8. D8 is if you're not holding any other weapons. So with a D8 plus 1 plus another D8 from Planar, pretty sure it's 5D8 plus 20. 4D10 plus 20. Alright, here we go. Planar Warrior, Hadouken, punch, uppercut, 2 7s. Now that is 2 7s, everybody. People who were mistaken about the 7s and the 1s earlier. There you go. That's what 2 7s looks like. So with 14 plus your 1 from strength is 15 points of damage. Apis Hive, how do you want to do this? Describe the knockout. I got this from fighting Panros himself. Whack! Uppercut, crack, right in the moneymaker, right in the bottom of the chin. And then as his head goes snapping back, you say, "Was that fast enough for you?" His legs buckle underneath him, and he goes down unconscious. And you see instantly a lot of movement as the fairies that you saw from before, the ones that flitted in and rewoke you, come flying down towards him. You see 2 of them fly down towards him. One of the satyrs, his little squire, comes rushing out as well, and shouting, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" in the in Sylvan. Immediately, the fairies get to him and cast Cure Wounds, which is this one. 1. Lots of 1s today. Rikash 2, Apis 1. He gets 5 hit points back from that. And then the fairy immediately takes off and flies into the forest. And Rikash comes to and wakes and looks at you, up at you from the ground. Is there anything you want to say? Are you alright? Yes. That was significant. Hold out a hand. And oh boy, he almost pulls you to the ground. This guy is heavy. His muscles weigh a lot, and he's got glistening, rippling pectorals. I don't know if I've mentioned that this guy is an Adonis of body. He's got a lot of muscles, and muscles weigh a lot, so he's got that and the horse body as well. You lift him, you help lift him to his feet. His other leg coming under to help him as well. He sort of stretches out his injured leg, and he can kind of half limp on it now. That is quite the punch you have. Your sword play needs work, but your skill with a bow and with your fists, both very impressive. I appreciate the lesson, Rikash. Panros taught me good. Very intriguing that you have met the god of unarmed fighting, the god of martial arts. It is not a god that we worship here much, but he is known. Quick question on Adonis: is the 12 pecs on the human chest side or the horse chest side? He's got 2 different sets of pecs and 2 different sets of abs: horse abs and human abs. The way that you move, you need to be able to call on the gods of fighting, the gods of war, the gods of martial arts, whenever one most requires it. It takes something out of you, but you can learn to recover in time. I think your training is sufficient for now, but meet back here after dinner. I have more to teach you, more than just hitting away until we can knock the other down. There is more refinement that can be done of your current skills. Well, I will do so. Yeah, I wouldn't say I met the gods. Went a couple of rounds with them though. It was good times. Could we join you for dinner? I'm not sure that you would find my food palatable. Besides, Ordval will probably wish to have you as a guest. Well, I'll look forward to it. My jaw might not look forward to it though. Likewise. But tonight we will not fight. Not in this way. I think that is enough for this cycle. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps the next cycle we will go toe to toe again. I look forward to seeing you move as quickly as you have done. Are there any rules around hunting locally? We do prefer to hunt our own food. There are many rules around hunting locally. Ordval owns all of the game of this land. Hunting any without his express permission would not be wise. He kept going after us after we got revived. Why shouldn't we do the same? I mean, you can if you want. Probably shouldn't hunt here. Don't know how smart the animals are. Wouldn't want to kill a talking squirrel or something. Let's eat with the Merry Gentleman. Hunting on the Merry Gentleman's turf seems like a bad idea. Up to you, but yes, it feels like a recipe for offending somebody. Alright, so you've just had a decent lesson, a hands-on lesson. Got your ass beat pretty bad from a centaur that wanted to give you the school of hard knocks, as it were, and teach you how it is in the world. What do you want to do? Do we think there's any more to remember, or is it wake-up time? It's not wake-up time till you leave the Feywild. Check on Mel. You part ways with Rikash then, and you head to check on Mel. It's easy enough to find her. You find a little creature about up to your, well, you're a dwarf, so probably up to about your hip. Little dumpy looking fellow, kind of similar sort of body stature to the little shit Bobby. He's wearing all green, and he's got a large beard, gingerish beard, and he's in the fields tending to something, and he seems to be having a conversation with Mel as you approach. And Mel, Empress, Empress, how you doing? Hello. Let's see, intelligence check for her, see if she remembers. Hey, not bad, Mel. Good job. She goes, hello, Archer. I'm having a good time. You doing all right? Yes, I'm doing great. I'm learning a lot about flowers and things. Excellent. All right. Well, I need a nap, so I'm gonna head in and just have a lie down for a bit. If you need me, I'm inside. Okay. And you head inside. Look around for an orange fairy dragon. You do not see one. Not sure if there's a reference to something that I'm missing. Alright, so you need to head inside and have a short rest. As you, the action surge was used. Yeah, nice. as you head inside, you head up to your room, and you have a short rest. You have a lie down for a bit. Short rest is this one, isn't it? Shlim, shlibbity bing, shlip shlip shling. As you are sleeping, the dreams that come to you are particularly vivid and interesting, and I'm not going to go into them, but I just wanted to mess with Fancy having to take notes about dreams again. So you do have very vivid dreams. They are they're very Feywild dreams. You're realizing that each time that you go to sleep here, you are presented with lucid dreams that are vivid and interesting and confusing. But no point going into them. You can make up for yourself what happens in this dream. The one that made Lakara dance. Oh, the fair. Right, yeah, no, you do not see that one. That orange fair dragon that made Lakara dance. That was many years ago. As you're napping, as you're having a little wee power nap and regaining your action surge and second wind, you will also wake up feeling a little more hardy, because you have new hit points, and you are level 7. Congratulations, you have leveled up with your fighting with what's his chops, Rikash. That has led to you getting 2 levels in fighter now. And can somebody remind me what hit points we rolled when we did all of the level up stuffs? 74 hit points, thank you. So we go up from 62 to 74. And we will go up by 12 as well, because we just went up by 12. So we got another 12 hit points. We got another hit dice. We've got another level in fighter, which allows us to now have action surge that we can use once per short rest. I will say you get to choose to use one of the hit dice now as well if you want to, as part of the short rest. So do you want to spend a hit dice? You only get 1 hit dice back on each long rest in my games. So you can spend a hit dice, which would either way for you would be a D10, because you're ranger and fighter, both of which use D10 hit dice. So yes, we're going to use 1. Let's look a little more presentable for our dinner with the Merry Gentleman. Alright, we are going to use 1 hit dice. Dice cam. Boop, bitty, beep, boop, boop, bap, boop. 1. Great stuff. That is a 1 plus our Constitution modifier. That is 3. We regain 3 hit points for the cost of 1 hit dice. And we are down to 6 of 7. Just in case Rikash is all about surprise attacks, we want to be a little bit better. Alright, so that was the first half hour of sleep-in. Do we want to use another one? You'll only get 1 back each time you long rest, but do we want to use the second one? Yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Clean and stitch up our wounds, set our jaw. Yeah, we managed to set our jaw during that first long short rest. Feels very sore still. We've got cure wounds on us if we want. Interesting, not an obvious answer as to whether or not we should use another hit dice or not. Poll. Question. Use second hit dice? Yes or no? You get your second wind back at the end of the at the end of the short rest, regardless of how long the short rest is. So you can short rest for a multiple of half hours. For each half hour that you short rest, you can use 1 hit dice. So if you want to have a 1 hour nap, heal yourself up and nap for an hour, you get to use 2 hit dice, and you get back 1 second wind at the end of that. At the end of the hour. 50-50 to use the second hit dice, so let's roll the dice. Let's see. Odds and evens. Odds is yes, evens is no. Evens it is. No, we're not going to use the second hit dice. We're not going to extend this short rest. We just nap for about a half hour, get ourselves minorly healed up. We're still looking wounded. Do we want to use short rest? Second wind. Do we want to use second wind? Let's put it to a poll. We will then have to short rest again at some later time to get this back, but you can't short rest immediately again after another short rest because that would break the game. You have to do something that constitutes like adventuring in some kind of capacity before you can gain the benefits from a short rest again. Second wind? Question mark? Yes or no? Second wind is 1d10 plus your fighter level, which is now 2. So 1d10 plus 2, same as your short rest dice. Hit dice. Make sure that Mel learns that vanilla secret. Unfortunately, that's not a secret, it's just a spell. They were just casting Cure Wounds, and when fairies do it, it tastes like vanilla. Same as healing potions. Healing potions taste like vanilla, and fairy magic smells like vanilla. Well, curative fairy magic smells like vanilla. Feywild smells like basic sponge cake. Kind of. Alright, yes, second wind. We are going to use our second wind. Crunch with a d10 plus 2. That is going to be a 9 this time. 9 plus 2 is much better. 11 hit points back takes us to 31. Oops, that's 32. Mistyped. Alright, so, what do you want to do, everybody? You've had a little wee nap. It's hard to tell what time of day it is because you've rested a bit, you've been fighting a bit, the sun isn't changing location at all, so you've really got nothing to go on for time of day other than your own body clock. And you've just woken up from a nap, so your body clock's a little bit fuzzy. So what do you want to do? Take a look at the library? Bath? Find the library? Find the sun god in the library. Library. I think we want the library. I think Apis might have in mind that they want to go to the library. Maybe. Alright, so. And also, can we borrow some writing implements so we don't have to make notes with mud now? That's also a very good point. Okay, lad. So you set off around the Merry Gentleman's manor, and you immediately bump into some of his staff. Let's see who you bump into. Let's have a little look. You meet a little sprite that introduces himself as San, S-A-N, San. Very quickly out onto the balcony, you very quickly bump into a little sprite, and he goes in Sylvan. He says, "You are here as a guest of the Odval, Lord Odval." You say, "That's right, yeah. I am San. If there is anything you need from me, I am here to assist you in other ways." And you say, "Thank you very much. I am actually looking for the library." And he says, "Right this way," and immediately turns around and flits off down the hall. And you're like, oh, okay, that was quick. And you start to move down the hallway after him. Eventually, you walk up and down some wings of this huge manor, some like those runner carpets down the centre of an otherwise hardwood floorboard. Past portraits and tapestries and all sorts of other things. There's doors off to the sides, and some of them are open, and you see other fey-like creatures flitting around doing things inside. Eventually, opens the door to. Sorry, you don't say thank you. That was my mistake. He opens the door to a large room at the end of this long hallway, and you see this huge library. He says, This is the largest of the libraries. There are more specialist libraries elsewhere, but you will find most of what you are looking for here. Well, that's great, awesome, dude. If there is anything else I can do for you, how are the books arranged here? In order of importance. Importance. They're arranged in order of importance. The most important ones are over here, and the least important ones are over there. Importance of what I think is important, or no, in order of what the Lord thinks is important. Right. And does that change? Oh yes. Is constantly asking us to rearrange and move books around and which ones he thinks is more important now. Great. Is there like a reference somewhere as to which books are where? Yes, the important ones are over here, and the less important ones are over there. Yeah, but is there like a list of the order that they're in? No. Anyone to assist me finding books on particular topics? If you wish for me to help you find books, I can try and do so. I'm not meant for work in the library, but I can find you a sprite who is. Okay. Where can I find books on Horizon Walkers? I will find someone who can help. He flits away immediately. It's not long before he comes back with a little fairy, tiny little woman-looking, female-looking fairy called Rue. This is Rue. Rue will be able to help you. She works in the library much more than I do. Yeah, thank you, son. I mean, you did. You did the right thing for me, and I'm appreciative of that. He just nods and flits backwards and down the hallway. Your name, sir? Not a sir, but you can call me Archer. Archer. You can call me Rue. Well, Rue, I'm looking for a book on Horizon Walkers. Horizon Walkers. Let me see. Those are... Let me see if she knows what they are. She is well studied. She's probably heard of them with that. Not the best roll, but with a modifier it'd be pretty good. Because I think I know they are rare creatures that can step between planes. Yes, I think I have some books on that. She flies off to find them. It's just R-O-O, by the way. Rue. As she flits away to find them, she is looking for quite some time. As you see, she starts over on the right-hand side as you're looking at it, to the least important side. And she's going up and down the shelves, looking for particular titles. She gets about halfway around and pulls one book. And then she continues round. And she's like using like fairy magic to make the book just kind of hover behind her, like a mage hand sort of thing, holding it. She gets round pretty much to the end of the shelf, and then slides another book out. And then she flies on over to you. These books will... would you like a seat? You have been standing here waiting for a while, Archer. Sorry, I was interested in where you were getting the books from and what the ordering system seems to be here. Right, I will bring them to you. Let's come and have a seat. Also, while we're sort of just grabbing the books that we need and sort of arranging them and whatnot, could I ask for a couple more as well, just so I've got them all and then I can just sit and read them at my leisure? Of course. What would you like to read about? Any books about the sun gods? Oh, so you mean the god Thelrios? Thelrios is the god of the sun. Yes, yeah. Any information on him? Specifically, rituals that he has. Dawn rituals, rituals of restoring daily powered items, things. Ah, I know exactly what you're meaning. And she takes off. She goes relatively over to the left-hand side, like the importance kind of section of the library, and then pulls out a book and flies it on back and places it on the table. This one is exactly what you're looking for the rituals of returning of the daily things. Excellent, thank you. Books on planar travel? And she says, oh, I'm afraid we have quite a few of those. You will have to be a little more specific. A great many of our library is to do with planar travel. Also, just if you could just grab me the top 3 most important books. And she says, the most important books are not these ones. And she points to the ones that she was going to. She goes, the most important ones are those ones. And she points behind you, like at the shelf that's like right by the door as you walk in, behind your shoulder, that you hadn't really noticed because of the huge library in front of you. There's just a single standing bookshelf, and there are about 20 books on there. And you say, oh, I'll just grab these ones then. And she goes, no, I'm afraid those ones are reserved for Ordval himself. No one is allowed to read those without his express permission. Right. Okay. Thank you. I mean, not thank you. Damn it, Apis. I mean, Badger. Before you go, Rue, are there any maps of the Feywilds or the surrounding areas? I don't believe we have maps. So I could find you a map of the world as a whole. That'd be great, thank you. Right you are. And she flies off, and she goes off to kind of like the 2 o'clock-ish position, and comes back with like a map book, like a bit of an atlasy situation. Folds out into like an ordnance map. Sitting and reading considered a short rest? No. And so it's when I put all these back in the wrong place. Just be a pain for the librarian fairies, though. I don't think the merchant will even notice. Lots of us want to know the topics of a few of the most important books. You'll get there. Let's wait until we're alone. We can peruse them. How do fairies travel? How can portals be closed? You want to look up those things as well? Okay, specifically about the portal magic then. Could you get me any information that is on the closing of portals specifically? Yes, I believe that information would probably be spread across many different books depending on which portals you are talking about closing and whether you wish to close them or permanently shut, like remove them. Is there a difference between closing them and permanently shutting them? Yes, they can be, because portals can be opened and closed periodically, like with the winking of the cycles, for instance, or with the different weather patterns. But if you're wanting to permanently remove a portal, then it can never be opened again in that position without having to go through the same ritual that opened it in the first place. Right. More the latter. Interested in removals of portals. There are a few portals that I can get you a few items that might have information on that. She will fly off, and she comes back relatively quickly with about 3 books. Puts them onto the pile. Can I know the titles of the 20 or so books there? The topics of them, at least. You are welcome to look at them, but you're just not allowed to touch them. Right? Okay. You wander over and you start to peruse the ones. You see that only about half of them have titles at all. Like, many of them don't have anything written on the spines. They're just different sized books. Some of them don't look like they're even that interesting, or they wouldn't catch your eye at all if you were in somebody's house and just having dinner or whatever, and you wouldn't even notice if it was on the shelf. But then others of them look like they are huge and gaudy and like gilded in trim. Look like they've been backed in like metal and all sorts of interesting things to these books. As for the titles of them, I will get back to you next week. I'm not going to improvise 20 book titles off the top of my head, but I do have an idea of the sorts of topics that he's interested in, so I'll be able to put that together before next time. He told me to treat this house as if it was mine while I'm here, and the only place out of bounds was his master bedroom. Does that count for the library? The library counts as you are welcome to use it to your heart's content, but there are superseding factors such as not being able to use these books. Right. One last book then, I think. Do you have information about were curses? Were curses, like therianthropy? Yes, books on things that force people to turn from one to another. We do. We have a couple of books that are specialized on that. She flies off to look for them. She finds them after about 10 minutes of looking, because she's looking in sort of the more important side of things, and eventually she works her way around, and she finds it way over in the not important side of things, and she comes back with 2 books on therianthropy. Right. Well, I believe this is probably enough for you to be starting on. I will head off, and I have work to be doing as well. But if you have any required, if you have any need of me, you require my help, then please call out for me. My name is Rue. All you need to do is ask for Rue, and I will come. Thank you. I mean, damn it. I appreciate your help, Rue. If I need you, I will call you. Very well. She flies off. Oh, am I allowed to take these out of the library? And then another one of the fairies that's just like been stocking shelves this whole time is like, no. No, they have to stay. They have to stay here. Right you are. You look around and you see that there's like a reading nook with like some more comfortable beanbags and things for you to sit in and read. As you grab this stack of books that you've been given, and Rue has disappeared to go and do her thing, you take them over to your little reading nook, big pile of books. You sit them down next to you, and you choose which book you want to read first. Which of the books that we've just listed is Apis most interested in reading first, everybody? Horizon Walkers, Maps, Closing Portals, the Sun God, the Dawn stuff, the Rituals, the Were Curses, the Sun God, the World Map, Horizon Walker stuff. Pick a book at random. Closing Portals seems the most pressing. The Sun and the Dawn stuff, want to get our horseshoe back. The Sun Rituals provides us immediate boons for horseshoe and dice. That's a very good point. Alright, let's go with a poll and see which book we are going to read first. Apis says, excuse me, and catches the attention of one of the fairies. Yes? Sorry, what was your name? My name is Tila. T-E-E-L-A. My name is Tila. Tila, do you have any writing implements, ink, quills? Yes, of course. Could I have some? I mean, give me some writing implements, please. Do I say please? So hard being rude. I will get you some ink. Flits off to a writing desk in the corner of the library. Opens up a drawer, brings out a spare bottle of ink, and brings it over to you. You brought me the ink. You did what I asked of you. That is a thing. You have an ink and some quills, and they bring you some spare parchment as well, just small spare pieces. All right, with 65% of Apis agreeing, they decide to start with the book on Thelrios and the Sun God and the Dawn rituals that you may have to perform in order to bring back your once per day abilities, your things that normally recharge on a dawn, the dawning light of the sun. But with the dawning light never actually arriving here in the Feywild, with the sun never changing, you may need to do other things to recharge those abilities. You want your lucky horseshoe back, and you want your divinatory dice, your divination dice, to reset every day as well. So you open up the book and you start to read, and that is where we're going to pick up next time. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. I will see you on the next one. Bye. Do you like social media? Of course you don't, but you use it a lot anyway, don't you? Because it's addictive. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RobertHartleyGM.